Hey y'all, it's Kim, and today I wanted to talk about Katrina. So, I was living in this house, right here, back here, when Katrina came through the state of Mississippi. Now, Katrina affected a lot of areas, and most of what you hear about is New Orleans, and, you know, bless their hearts, New Orleans really did suffer a lot. And one of the reasons why New Orleans gets so much publicity, and like all the documentaries are about Katrina and New Orleans, is because so much population, and there were a lot of people devastated by when Katrina came through. And those people lost, a lot of people lost everything, but also a lot of people in my area lost everything. So what I want to talk about is what you don't hear about a whole lot, which is my area. So let's talk about where Katrina came through. Katrina, you know, they had predictions. It was in the Gulf, and it was coming here, it was going there, and originally it was predicted to go to New Orleans area. But it took a turn, and y'all, I live in a suburb of the Hattiesburg, Mississippi area, and Katrina took a turn and went straight up the center of the state of Mississippi. Now, we're not a highly populated state, not like Louisiana and New Orleans especially. A lot of people live there, and a whole lot more people population-wise. Numbers, they were, more people were affected. But while the state of Mississippi, the population isn't as great, there are still people. There are still people that live here, that work here, and this is their home. And y'all, it devastated this area. It really did. So my experience in August of 2020, I'm used to saying 2025, but this was in 2005. August of 2005, I had been divorced for 2 months, and I had at home I had a 3-year-old, and my older daughter was 15. And so I'm a single mom again, and I've got this house right here. We were in this house, and I'm trying to make a decision. So this was over a weekend, and you know, once a hurricane gets into the Gulf, you really watch closely on the weather predictions. And you know, we didn't know what to do because you weren't sure, and you hate to spend the money because, you know, I'm a single mom. I don't have a whole lot of money coming in, never have and never will, you know. And, you know, they're like, well, if you feel like you need to evacuate, go ahead. But otherwise, but y'all, my father's still alive now, but my father lives in California. So it's not like I could go to my dad's house and, you know, to ride out the storm, because he's in California, and it's just so far away. And in talking to my dad on the phone, he's like, you know, I think you'll be okay, you know, because he's thinking back to when he was, when I was little bitty, and my dad's was growing up. My dad was active duty Army, so we were stationed in Florida in 1969 when Hurricane Camille came through, and he's remembering that experience in his mind. And apparently they originally thought that it would hit us, Camille would hit us in Florida, and it took a turn and ended up hitting Mississippi and tore it up. I mean, tore it up. And so he's remembering back to that, and he says, you know what, because I am where I live, the Hattiesburg, Mississippi area is about 70 miles north of the Gulf Coast. So he says, as far north of the Gulf Coast as you are, I think you'll be okay. So you can just ride it out. So, I mean, you know, I did what my daddy said. And we stayed. But, y'all, it was bad. It was really bad. And this is just, I think I've decided I'm going to do a series on Katrina when it hit us, because it's too much to get into one video. So let me just say, that weekend it came through here on a Monday, and that weekend, that, you know, like Saturday, you know, we were just unsure. You know, we didn't know Saturday, and we didn't know all day Saturday. We're like, well, because we're thinking probably going to New Orleans. By Sunday morning, no, it was coming here. They were pretty sure it was coming here. So I went to the store early that Sunday morning, and I picked up things. I didn't know, y'all, I had no clue what to buy. I bought things like, I mean, I had a 3-year-old, so I'm like, well, you know, if the power goes out, I need her something to do, right? So I bought crayons and coloring books, and I got things like, you know, obviously the first thing to go in a storm, around here anyways, is milk, bread, that kind of thing. Milk, I don't know why, because if the power goes out, what good's the milk if you can't refrigerate it? And it, and it was hot. It's summertime, August, South Mississippi. So I went and bought supplies that Sunday morning, and I came home, and I work at a bank, and I didn't know, this was a Sunday, and, Monday is when the storm, by Sunday night, they knew the storm was going to hit Monday. And so I called the bank president's house, and he was tied up, but his wife answered, and I told her, I said, look, I'm just wondering, what do I need to do tomorrow? You tell me, do I need to call him back? I don't want to say his name, he's passed on now, but really, but I'm talking to his wife, and I'm like, you tell me, should I just call him back in the morning? She says no. She said, you stay home, do not even try to come to work in the morning, and it will be okay, and you can tell him that I told him it would be okay. So I took the wife of the bank president, I took it to heart, and I said, you know what, I'll do what she says. And so that's what we did. That's what I did. I stayed home, and that Monday morning, I'm in my house. I have the news on in the living room, and we're watching, and it's blowing through and everything. 9:30, the power went pew, and it went out. It was gone. It was like it kind of faded out. And there was even a tree that went down over here, although my next door neighbor has cleaned it up, but it stayed down for probably 15 years. It was just laying down, but the guy that lives here now cleaned it up and took care of it. But yeah, I mean, I watched it go down, and watching out the back door here, and power went out 9:30 that Monday morning, and we're like, well, okay. So at home, I've got a 15-year-old and a 3-year-old and me. My adult daughter, the one that was grown and married, she had 2 kids, and she lived out on the other side. I'm one side of Hattiesburg, and my oldest daughter lives on the other side of Hattiesburg. And she had 2 kids at home with her. And, we're in contact. And, y'all, this is in the day before, you had a charge on your phone. We had, like, little Nokias, little Nokia phones. And there was no smartphone. This was 2005, and there was no smartphones. And when your phone died, it died. But So now I'm without power. My daughter out from the other side of town is without power. And what do we do? Well, I'll just have to... This is part 1, and I'm going to stop here because part 2 is really something else. So I'll just have to... I'll film part 2 soon, and we will talk about part 2 because, y'all, that was incredible. But I just want everybody to realize... and there goes my phone. But part 2, I just want everybody to realize that while the state of Mississippi has a smaller population, we were still highly affected, greatly affected by Katrina, and I will continue to tell that story in the next, in part 2. But that's it for this part 1 video, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.